Is that Scareclaw lurking around the top 8 out here in Tier 0 Ishizu format? Yeah, things are getting pretty interesting. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. I gotta give a big shout out here to Team Solemn Circus. I'm gonna leave a link down below so you can follow their channel. They're trying to get to 1,000. Show them some love. They were the ones that put together this whole breakdown. I figured we'd go ahead and cover it as well to try to push them to 1,000. So your breakdown here for the Halifax Regional is pretty much what you would expect at this point, if you want me to be honest with you. You got a whole crap ton of Ishizu tier elements over here. You got 3 of them. You know, if you look at last format, you know, you'd be like, oh, you know, like the ratios on the regional level don't really change. You know, you would see 3 to 4 tier elements per event. Yeah, that pretty much has maintained true for the most part here, but honestly, it's all pretty much going the same, if you want my honest opinion. We also had 2 Dragon Link for this top cut. Now, what's interesting about that thought here is the Dragon Link decks tend to use the Bysteel package. There's one that we'll look at here in a second that actually uses the Tier Elements package in it, which is kind of interesting at the end of the day. I don't know, I think it's pretty interesting just to see the little innovations and little things out here that you can see from that. And then we had 2 Sprite, one of which was a Tri-Brigade Sprite. And I mean, you look at this format, you're going to continue to have the same thought. You're like, wait a minute. Yeah, Sprite's still doing good. And then the real kicker here is the fact that we had a Scareclaw deck, you know, trampling around in top cut as well. And I think so many people are just going to be perplexed by the thought of that. That means that Scareclaw is actually functioning out here and doing things. And that's absolutely amazing at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, that you can see something like Scareclaw holding on to the format and doing its job. Honestly, I'm not surprised. All right, we're going to pass on over to some top deck lists now. All right, so the first list we're going to be looking at here is, yes, our mini package here. You got to love we're playing 3 Shea Ren in this build for some reason. All right, and of course, we are focusing on mainly your Sprite shenanigans here. These little interesting innovations and things out here you see with this. Shout out to, you know, Angler here for being the best darn card in this deck. Sprin loves this card. I see we're also citing the Master of Beast Alpha. I have not seen Alpha really showing up this format at all, and I think that this is actually kind of nice. All right, like Alpha, I don't know, Alpha getting the spot removal options out here to kind of detour some players and kind of take away some of the control that they've kind of set up is actually kind of nice. Also, shout out, you know, to citing Smashers and maining Smashers. This is why you love the little Sprite packages at the end of the day. And we're also playing Dimensional Fissure and siding those zombie worlds. I love shutting down my opponent. All right, next up is... does this look familiar? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, 95% of these Ishizu tier decks at the end of the day look pretty much the same. And I will say, you know, it depends on how much you want to extend out your Bysteel package. Obviously, Magnemite's been seeing a lot less play. I mean, while Magnemite is good at the end of the day, this one's just been the one's been just better. Like, the immediate spot removal option that you get from this is pretty good. And then Saranir's just another name. Like, that's Saranir's purpose in life. He's just there. And then we have the one Crime, the one Solik. This has been pretty standard. We're citing News Reporter here for the interactions with the Invader of Darkness. It's actually kind of funny. You target a fiend in your graveyard and summon that monster. You know, against Runic, this card is pretty much a blowout. Like, you don't have to really do anything at the end of the day. All right. Oh, boy, more. I love all of these Ishizu decks. Yay! You gotta love the time rules that Scattershot just has moved in. Remember, Pain, the Scattershot's seen more competitive viability than any other Volcanic card at this point in time. Every deck plays this card. Citing the one Heartbeat, which is fine. We're playing the triple Herald of Orange Light to blast out the opponent, and then we're citing, yeah, you know, Druis Worm. So our package is triple Magnet, triple Jerusalem, and then the one Saranir. All right. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't see anything else really too crazy. I love Time Thief Redoer still getting a place out here. Like, this card still does amazing work, but when you look at, like, how these decks shape up and how the format has, you know, looked at these and how they're settling, I mean, yeah, that's the big bad guy in the room that you're going to have to deal with at the end of the day. Next up here is our first Dragon Link list here. Now, I will say, in terms of what Dragon Link does in this format, this card. Your opponent sets up big field. No. Boral End Friend is going to come down and annihilate everything that it sees in its path. Which, actually, there's a reason why this card is as bonkers crazy as it is. Honestly, I've heard a few people complaining about, like, the current iteration of Dragon Link doesn't feel, you know, as powerful as the previous ones, and I can understand that at the end of the day, but I will say this. You've become pretty much an anti-meta deck. It's kind of sad to say that Dragon Link has had to, you know, result to that after all of the hits, but at least you can still function, and at least the combo lines for your deck are still able to be made, alright? Like, you can still shout out to Striker Dragon here, still allowing, you know, combo lines to exist. Next up here is Scareclaw. Yeah, Scareclaw is functioning out here in the year 2023, and I almost think it's got something to do with Tryhard here. Basically, all face-up monsters on the field are changed to defense mode. This is unaffected by the activated effects of defense position monsters, and discarding the extra monsters on target a level 3 Scareclaw monster in your graveyard, and if you do, add a Scareclaw monster from your deck to your hand, and then you can't swap them for the rest of the turn except for Scareclaw, but it's a generic 3,000 Floodgate monster, and then you have board breakers and pretty much everything else in the world within the Scareclaw archetype for you to do your thing. Plus, you get all the additional, you know, bonus effects of all of these good cards as well. So it's actually kind of interesting. We finally have reached a point that, you know, Tryhard can decimate these fields and actually, you know, establish and do what it needs to do here for the format. Overall, I'm not surprised to see that this is functioning. There's got to be a rogue deck every blue moon that'll come out of the woodwork and scare people. Next up is more Shizu Tier. Yay! Interesting things about this one. Still Scattershot. We're siding the Magnanut. We decided not to side the third Druid Worm. Once again, it's so interesting to see these little stupid card choices. One Agito has become pretty mandatory, or pretty normal at this point if you even choose to play. There are players out there that just look at Agito and you're like, throw it in the trash. Get rid of it. I don't need it. We're playing the one Diviner of the Herald, which is fine, and then we are playing the Herald of Orange Lights. For a regional level, I think that this card is very, very good. This card will blow your opponent out of the water. And then we play Yield Mystical Mine. Yeah, one-ups, by the way. And then we're main decking our Heartbeat. Just choosing to play the one Heartbeat, which is fine. And then 2 Super Polys. Super Poly, after looking at some of these more recent victories, you almost might want to consider playing 3 of this. I mean, in the mirror match, cards bonkers, right? Alright. Next up is our... This is interesting. So this is a splash package of tier elements with Dragon Link, and I haven't actually seen anything like this yet. I've seen many little packages of tier being splashed in Dragon Link, yes, but this feels a lot heavier than some of the other ones. I mean, we've also seen Albaz and friends merge with this deck too, but that variant hasn't stuck around per se as much. So your game plan, I mean, milling, that's really what you care about here, honestly. You know, you can put down a Star Leash. You have your resource regeneration. These give you, you know, return plays plus defensive options against your opponent. Plus, you know, as you're going on along with your day, it just free blowouts with this. Honestly, this is a build that you might want to consider, actually, because I do think for the most part here that just the power that this deck has going for it in terms of combination actually works out. And the last one we have for you guys here is our Sprite Tri-Brigade deck. Yeah, this actually made it. So you're still going to use, you know, Sprite package. You have your Bysteel package in here, defense. We're also playing Crows. And then, of course, you're going to capitalize on your Tri-Brigade package here to basically punish your opponent, a.k.a. Revolt Turbo. you gotta love the fact is deploying a Shirog during your opponent's turn is just a big giant FU to them. Like, I don't know how many people can actually handle that, but that is something that you really need to be worried about when it comes to this particular deck, is just on top of, the 9,000 lines of play that Sprite gives you, you just laugh at your opponent because you're like, oh yeah, I got the Shirog coming up on the next turn for you to deal with as well. So it's interesting. So, what do you guys think about the breakdown for this regional? Please, so comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.